Welcome to Fish Talk Hunt Radio with John Hennigan, where we're going to cast and blast you right out of this world with some of the best hunting and fishing stories that you can't even imagine.
Welcome to Fish Hunt Talk Radio. This is John Hennigan in studio with our host, Mr. Frank Selby, the premier fly fisherman throughout the world. And he also has a tackle shop where you can buy custom flies. I'm not going to say that Frank is going to tie him, but he might. But he's got this girl in there that just cranks them out. And Frank knows what to use depending on where you're going. And, you know, you can buy flies cheap. But when you call Frank and say, well, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want, he'll deliver it to you, mail it to you. You can stop by and pick it up in Newport Beach, but he'll deliver it to you exactly what you want, exactly what you need. Frank, welcome to Fish Talk Radio.
Yeah, and we're already getting calls for next year in Alaska.
Well, let's talk about Alaska for a minute, Frank. Yeah. Last year was kind of a screw-up. We changed the dates twice. We even changed the resort. But learned my lesson. Looks like it's going to be probably the middle of July. And I'll give some details. I think we're going to go back to where we used to go all the time because of the price. And they have captains that live there, work there, and know where to catch fish. So what we're going to do is put together a package. We might even include a one-day charter if you want to pay more, but I think we'll just keep that separate. And it's going to be, we're going to be putting some prizes together for the team, per boat, for two-person or 4 people per boat, and we're going to have some good prizes. And we're going to include the 4-passenger covered cruisers that we have at our disposal. And, of course, it's all-inclusive with all the bait, gear, tackle, food, and et cetera, et cetera. So we'll be announcing that probably within the next week as to exactly where, when, and how much. So start planning. Looks like the middle of July. Okay, yeah, Frank?
We've already got some ready to go.
I believe so. All right. We got to go, but we will be right back.
The Soft Science footbed absorbs the shock of pounding waves, engine vibration, and even rocky terrain. Soft Science shoes are roomy and relaxed, and they drain and dry quickly. Check out the Soft Science Fin fishing shoes and boots and the Fin H2O for kayaking and canoeing. They're lightweight, slip-resistant, and won't mark your deck. See the new styles for men and women and get your pair on at softscience.com.
It's time for you to take a real fun adventure. Join a hosted fishing adventure to Alaska or Baja with the staff of Fish Talk Radio. Real Fun Adventures can book you on any adventure you desire. Bring your fishing friends or meet new ones. Fish Talk Radio gets the best deals from our sponsors to give you the best possible price. Real Fun trips are inclusive, easy, no-worry packages to the most popular fish grounds. Trips start around $600. Go to REELfunadventures.com.
If you are still using a plastic hard-shell cooler, things have changed for the better. AO coolers are lighter with twice the efficiency of the traditional bulky coolers. AO coolers are the best available soft-sided cooler with 3/4-inch high-density closed-cell foam insulation. They will keep ice frozen for 24 hours in hot weather. Easy to carry, less space, it fits product inside for better performance. Go to aocoolers.com to order or find a retailer. Available at West Marine.
With a long pedigree, the Selby brand today offers the very best equipment modern technology can provide. Started in Europe, Selby is now providing quality fly fishing gear in the USA. Waders, clothing, rods, reels, fly lines, bags, and innovative new accessories. Enjoy your sport and leisure time more than ever. The affordable value of Selby makes it available to everyone. Go to snowbee-usa.com.
Catch 'em shallow, I can catch 'em deep. Open water or the back of the creek. The wind and rain to me
Welcome back to Fish Talk Hunt Radio with John Hennigan.
This is John Hennigan and our host, Frank Selby. And we have a special guest, Jeff McAvoy, who lives in Maine. And, Jeff, I'd like to make something real quick. We don't get a lot of people on the air from Maine, but I suspect, Maine was one of our first, one of the first colony, but one of the first places that people from the old world came, and I suspect that they subsided on natural resources because Maine has a lot of them with hunting and fishing, and I just want you to comment on that real quick.
Right now, I can't really speak too much to that. I haven't been around that long, but
No.
Was obviously important to a lot of the people that lived here before people settled. A lot of the saltwater stuff, the clamming, the fish, real important to locals. Of course, moose, caribou, which we don't have anymore, were big for natives, and fishing and hunting obviously plays a big role in what we do today still.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that because that's what you do. And you operate, Jeff McAvoy, you operate Weatherby's Maine Fishing and Hunting Lodge. So tell us real quickly how to get in touch with you and where it is and what you do.
Yeah, well, we do operate a traditional Maine lodge. We have 15 cabins. We accommodate up to 40 people, full service, meals, lodging, fishing and hunting guides. Been operating since about 1900 here. Still a very active part of the community.
Well, I suspect you probably were around even then.
No, not even close.
Has it been in the family?
No. I've been guiding myself for about 35 years. Started when I was in college, and never thought at the time that I'd be doing it today. But you know what? There's worse things to be doing. Yeah.
If you like what you're doing.
You honestly didn't work that long because if you love what you do, you never work.
Well, not only that, think of where he goes to work, what office he works in.
Yeah.
He's out in the wilds or out in the lake, and that's where he goes to work.
Yeah. Well, I tell people I retired when I was 39.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Quick information on how to reach you.
Best way, internet website, weatherbys.com, spelled weatherbys.com. It's the easiest way to get us. We have Facebook page, Weatherby's Lodge.
So it's like weather. It's like weather that you spell weather, and then it's BY apostrophe S.
Yeah, BYS. We have a Weatherby.
Oh, BIS. There's no apostrophe. Weatherbys.
Right.
.com. That's easy.
Facebook page, Instagram account, same thing, Weatherby's Lodge.
Well, even in Maine, then, I suspect you're operate a lot of months out of the year.
Well, we're here, we operate pretty much May through the end of October, so we're coming up on the end of our season.
That would be
the next few
probably
weeks.
Hunting season?
Yeah, right now we're still fishing for landlocked salmon, and we're hunting for rough grouse and woodcock, and we actually had moose hunters in last week.
Wow.
So, we do a little bit of everything.
Wow.
John?
Yes, sir.
Woodcock is the most funnest bird. They can make preachers cuss. I'm lying, I'm dying. I know, because that was what I cut my eye teeth on when I was about 7 years old.
They call them woodchuck. They tend not woodchuck. That's so many kind of woodchuck. Woodcock. And it seems to me they kind of hang out in the lower part of the mountains and rocks and things. Is that right?
Well, it's actually an upland bird, so we hunt them typically in old farmland and wet areas.
Yeah.
Migratory, so they breed and nest up in this country in the northeast and up in eastern Canada, Great Lakes area, and then they migrate down to Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that. The grouse that we hunt, rough grouse, is a native bird, and it lives here year-round.
Yeah.
And when's the best time to come up and hunt for grouse?
Well, I know that grouse are very tasty, at least unless they've been eating sage. But, they're a great table fare. And what about the woodcock?
Some people love them. Some people don't like them. It's a dark meat. Migratory birds have a red meat, similar to a duck. So it's a little stronger flavor, but quite tasty. And prepared properly, like any wild game, real good.
Mm-hmm. Well, you make good stew, huh?
I wouldn't make stew out of them, no.
Really?
Not me either.
Oh.
A little crab apple underneath the breast, and a little honey and orange on the top, and it is a wonderful meal.
Well, and tell us about hunting and fishing. You mentioned the upland birds and landlocked salmon, but I'd like to hear a bit more about the lodge. That sounds, first of all, where is it? How do you get there?
Well, Lodge, we're in the eastern part of Maine, very close to the New Brunswick border, Canadian border, and about an hour from the coast. So about as far east in the United States as you can get. Eastport, Maine, most point of the U.S. is about an hour from us. So not too far, and easy drive from the lodge.
Well, you mentioned you're that far from the coast. If somebody wanted to go, like you said, clamming or lobster fishing or something, can you do that?
You could probably go on a recreational experience. I mean, you got to be licensed to do anything, either a recreational license or commercial license. But there are people that'll take you out on kind of a tourist lobster operation. There's bird watching, of course, bird watching tours, and whale watching is a great summer activity.
Well, you've got a tremendous amount of variety. I always like to give people at least a range. First of all, how do they get there and where do they fly into? And some sort of a range on what the prices are. Of course, you do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we do primarily full service, so we're talking about, roughly $200 a day per adult, and that includes all your meals, beer, wine, and use of equipment, fly rods, waders, spinning rods, etc.
Man, save up your paper route money. You can do that.
Yeah. So that typically works. We run specials in the summer where kids in July and August are free, so you can bring families and the kids don't have to.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so we try to get families.
You think I got it?
There you go. Well, the other thing,
fishery is
people like to go to Alaska because it's different, and just if you want to see Maine, this sounds like the way to do it because you get the real thing. It's not a tourist. You get out in the wilds, you go to the fishing, and if you want to visit Maine, even if you don't want to hunt or fish, it sounds like a place to go.
There's a lot to do, a lot of hiking, a lot of camping, a lot of great restaurants and hotels and inns, and it's a great state.
Mm-hmm.
One quick question. About how far from the airport are you to your lodge?
Well, it depends which airport, but Bangor is probably the biggest commercial airport. We're about 2 hours from Bangor. Same thing with Presque Isle, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Portland,
well, do you have a shuttle service?
Yeah, we do. We pick up folks that need rides, so we do that on a regular basis during the season. And obviously, car rentals are an easiest way to get here. And there's float plane shuttles as well if you want that.
Wow. And are you on a lake?
Yeah, right on West Grand Lake, in the town of Grand Lake Stream. But our river that we fish is also called Grand Lake Stream. So.
Well, let me say one more time. If you've never been to Maine or you want to see the real thing, it's like you can take a cruise ship on the Inland Passage, but you don't really get to see Alaska. But if you want to visit Maine and get the real, inside, which is outside, then I would definitely go to weatherbees.com. And, of course, you can give them all the information you need, and it's not too early to start making reservations. You find it's a lot cheaper, airlines, and get the time that you want. Even though you got a big lodge, I know that busy season comes up.
Yeah, May and June are our busiest time. That's the best fishing typically, and we fill up pretty early.
Yeah. Wow, this is exciting. I wish we had more time. We're going to have to bring you back and talk about it some more because I want to learn some more about Maine and local habitat and such. And like I mentioned, it's one of those places where you could forage and survive.
Yeah, you probably still could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to, unfortunately, let you go, Jeff McAvoy, at Weatherbees, like weather, WEATHER, and then at BYS.com.
Sounds good.
All right, Jeff, we appreciate it, and I'm sorry it's a short time, but we gotta let you out of here. But trust me, we'll be back.
All right. Well,
yeah, Jeff, I'll definitely get you back.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate you taking the time all the way from Maine.
Have a good day.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, that's Frank. That sounds fantastic. $200 a day. That's.
I know. And I wanted to get in that if you didn't want that, he has ways that you can do the lodge for less than that if you don't want everything taken care of.
Yeah, even if you don't want to fish. Okay, we got to go. We're out of here. We'll be right back, and we've got some great guests coming up, so listen to Fish Hunt Talk Radio.
Oh, yeah.
Fish on!
It's a big one.
For passionate sports fishermen who value first-class fishing experiences paired with personalized service and amenities, all-inclusive Salmon Falls Fishing Resort on the Inland Passage reinvents the Ketchikan fishing getaway. Guests enjoy exceptional gourmet cuisine, superior fishing excursions, fully guided charter or self-guided in center console boats accommodating 3 anglers, updated guest rooms and suites, on-site fishing processing to clean, freeze, and pack your catch. Rooms range from log cabin rustic to modern. Our 52 rooms offer the ultimate in comfort after a long day of sightseeing, fishing, and exploring Ketchikan. Non-anglers love Salmon Falls too, shopping along Creek Street, kayaking, hiking, whale watching, or gathering around our fire pits with a hot beverage, all at prices less than expected. Just pull up Salmon Falls Resort in your search engine.
The East Cape of Baja, Mexico is world famous for sport fishing. Dorado, tuna, wahoo, marlin, sailfish, roosterfish, and pargo. The Van Wormer resorts make dreams come true at a price all can afford. Hotel Palmas de Cortez, Playa del Sol, and Hotel Punta Colorado have the biggest and best sport fishing fleet in all of Mexico. Call toll-free to 877-777-TUNA to find out how affordable world-class fishing can be. The finest resorts and the best boats in East Cape. Call 877-777-TUNA.
Vagabundos Del Mar Boat and Travel Club has 42 years experience introducing RVers to the joys of Mexico. Specializing in Baja, Vagabundos leads caravans and sponsors fishing tournaments, trailer boat cruises, and weekend getaways in Mexico and the West. Vagabundos Del Mar also saves its 10,000 members tons of money on low-cost auto insurance. Stay up to date on Mexican travel with the printed newsletter online at vagabundos.com or call 800-474-BAJA.
With a long pedigree, the Selby brand today offers the very best equipment modern technology can provide. Started in Europe, Selby is now providing quality fly fishing gear in the USA. Waders, clothing, rods, reels, fly lines, bags, and innovative new accessories. Enjoy your sport and leisure time more than ever. The affordable value of Selby makes it available to everyone. Go to snowbee-usa.com.
A full-service fly shop, His and Her Fly Fishing, offers FFI-certified international fly fishing instructor and guide service with Frank Selby. Listen to Frank as host of FishHuntTalkRadio.com or listen live Saturdays at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on SiriusXM Radio Channel 211. Custom flies are handmade to your order in-house in Newport Beach. Fishing in Mexico, Belize, Florida, or the Rockies, Frank and the staff will deliver exactly what you need. Flies and gear. Google His and Her Fly Fishing.
Welcome back to Fish Talk Hunt Radio with John Hennigan.
This is John Hennigan, and of course our host Frank Selby. And Frank, we have a special guest coming up, and he's going to talk about what I believe is the most important gear that you have for fishing. Without this, you're not going to catch anything. You know, you got the micro braid line, you got some graphite poles, you got these fancy reels, but without this, you got nothing. As a matter of fact, we're going to introduce Matt Swainback, National Sales Manager from Mustad. And
how you guys doing?
He may not know everything, but he knows a lot. And by the time we get done, he's going to be on for 2 segments, which we normally don't do. And so by the time we get done with this, you should know all you need to know. And, you know, they have, I guess, hooks made out of bone that goes back thousands of years.
That's correct.
And, you know, some string, or some, I guess the Chinese started with silk thread.
Yeah.
But without the hook, you ain't going to catch no fish.
Sure.
John?
Yes.
Silk thread lines they came all the way up into the early 19th century. We were still using silk fishing line.
Wow.
Yeah.
And but you still have to have a hook.
You got that right.
We got the bone hook, or a couple of different styles. But how many SKU numbers do you have, Mark, on different hooks?
I think right now we're about 6,000 different part numbers. Yeah.
All right. Well, in 24 minutes, we're going to describe each and every one of them and what you do with it, right?
No, don't quiz me on that one. I won't get that one.
Yeah. Well, a lot of your hooks can be used for regular or fly fishing. We tie or make jigs out of both on the same hook.
Sure. Yeah, there's a little crossover. I mean, we do make a lot of hooks specifically for fly fishing. Maybe a little bit lighter wire, something that's a little bit more concealable within the fly. But yeah, there's definitely some carryover for sure.
Let's talk about Mustad for a minute, if you don't mind, Jeff. A couple of things. How long has it been around, and who makes the most hooks worldwide?
Well, we've been around the longest, and we make the most hooks worldwide. That's for sure. I mean, we've been making hooks ever since the 1800s. And yeah, I mean, about 90% of all the hooks sold worldwide are Mustad hooks. So, U.S. is obviously just one of our major markets, but obviously across the globe. I mean, we're sold in 160 different countries. So across the globe, we find Mustad products.
Well, fortunately, this show reaches all of those people.
Great.
And because it's on the satellite on Sirius XM now, we're on Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Sirius 211, right, Frank?
Yeah, that's right.
And then it would be at noon on the East Coast.
Yep.
But you can
and all the marine bases, all the bases.
Oh yeah, we're on. Yeah, that's right. I forgot we're on. Is it Air America? I think, and they're on. I think something like 160 broadcast areas with like 300 different programs.
Wow.
But we're everywhere.
Impressive.
We're everywhere, and that's where Mustad is. So I think it would be a great combination. We'll have to see if we can work together. But a couple of questions. If we try and pare it down by category, instead of 6,000, let's bring it down to like 6 or 10.
Okay.
Of the most popular type of hook.
Sure. I mean, if you're talking, I think what some people get hung up on is hook type and not necessarily, your fishing application. I mean, as you mentioned before, I mean, there's a lot of hooks that could be carried over to many different fisheries, but Mustad, I mean, obviously fly hooks is a big part of our sales group and of our heritage, obviously. That could definitely be one segment you break things out into. I know you mentioned big hooks before. A lot of the best-selling jigs worldwide will crawl out using Mustad hooks. I mean, just a symbol of quality. I mean, if you're fishing shad darters or bullet heads or crappie jigs or walleye jigs, a lot of that stuff you're going to find across the world is using Mustad hooks. I mean, those are definitely a couple big categories for me. We also, I know we've talked about it before on the segment, circle hooks is another huge category in terms of sales. I mean, these are traditionally something that gets used mostly saltwater, a little bit of carryover to freshwater.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
For the lower mortality rates, that would be another big segment of sales for us, too.
Hey, John?
Yes, sir.
Do you know they do every segment of making
Frank, I was just going to mention that the reason, there's some good hooks out there, a lot of the ones from Japan that are very high quality. But boy, you pay for them. And sure. I'm not saying that Mustad is cheap, because to make quality, you can't do it cheap. But what I find very interesting that you taught me is that virtually every part of the process you guys do yourself, and most of it you invented yourself.
Yep.
So that it's not, it's not to do this and somebody puts a bend in it. So tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I mean, we source all of our steel for the manufacturing. We draw all our own wire at the original facility in Norway. We do have production facilities across the globe right now where hooks get bent, where packaging gets done, where jigs get tied. But really, our claim to fame is really being able to completely control and own that production process all the way from sourcing to distribution. That's something that really not a lot of companies, not even just fishing tackle companies, I mean, that's really, a claim to fame that a lot of companies can't tout there, which is, it's great to be a part of. It's a fun company to work with.
You have 100% control.
Globally very well
Let's say
together.
you have 100% control over the quality.
Yep, that is true.
And I know that people might think because they're ubiquitous that they're not that high of a quality, but sure. I think penny for penny they're probably the highest quality hooks you can buy.
Yeah, and obviously with the amount of volume that we produce on a daily basis, I mean that allows to keep costs fairly competitive in the marketplace. Also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Definitely, because I tie on about 80% of my flies are tied on Mustang hooks.
Mm-hmm. Is the one interesting thing about working for this organization. I think everybody has a Mustang story, whether it was your father or grandfather or someone who got you into it. We do have that long.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, we started talking about types of hooks.
Sure.
So we've got basically, you were talking about fly and circle hooks, which I want to get back to. But things like trout hooks or, standard, if you're fishing for rockfish or if you're fishing for landlocked salmon, what type of hooks do you use?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of summarize those in a few ways. I mean, those could be, simple J-bend hook. Some people will use the term Aberdeen, another popular terminology for a J-style hook that you can use for trout or crappie or, panfish in general. But really there is so much carryover between what you can apply a hook for. I mean, I think, personal experience, it's, so much has to do with matching the size to the bait. I think that's really what is.
Let's talk about that. We're going to keep it for another segment, so let's make sure we touch on that.
Sure. Yeah.
And we've only got a couple of minutes. I want to talk about circle hooks, but let's save that for the next segment. But fishing hooks sound simple, but it's so confusing.
Sure.
As to what type, and what is the different names and how do you describe it and what does it mean?
Yeah.
As you said, the sizes, you start with, I guess, a 1, and the higher the number, the smaller the hook. And once you get below 1, it's a 1/0. So the lower the number, I guess, is the size of the hook. So, a 1/0. And you go up to, Frank was asking about a 10/0. I don't know what he's going to do with that. But, that's basically what the sizes mean. But that's still, what does that mean? Is that the length? Is that the gap? Is that the shank? Or what the heck does that mean?
It's both. I mean, or I should say, it's all three of the things you mentioned. As a hook gets larger in size, a 10/0 versus 11/0. Not only will the shank increase a little bit, but also the gap will increase a little bit. And even between our different product lines, we'll have one product line that's a standard wire, and then we'll go 2x strong, and we'll go 3x strong.
Oh, so would that be the gauge? Would that be the gauge of the wire?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you're keeping the same shape, but you're increasing the gauge of the wire. Depending on the bait that you're using or the fish that you're going after. Most guys right now, like in the SoCal market, are using a 3x or a 4x strong hook for fighting their yellowfin or bluefin because you're using a very small bait.
Right.
But you need something super strong to be able to get the fish in.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to take a break, but as I promised, we're going to talk about circle hooks, and what was the other thing that you mentioned we need to talk about? Bait sizing. Bait sizing, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I still get confused. And so let's take just about a 3-minute break, and then we'll talk off air and figure, you can help me so I can know what questions to ask. Because hooks can be very confusing. And if you know some basics on it, it'll help a lot. You are listening to Fish Talk Radio. Go to fishtalkradio.com. Listen to the show as many times as you want, right on the front page.
The road stretches for miles in front of you. And with the Ram 1500, you'll be able to reach mile after open mile. It gets a best-in-class 25 miles per gallon highway, so your destination won't just be determined by your gas gauge, but by your gauge for achievement. And the Ram 1500 is the first ever back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Guts, glory, Ram. See your local Ram dealer today for great deals. EPA estimated 25 mpg highway based on V6 4x2.
A full-service fly shop, His and Her Fly Fishing, offers FFI certified international fly fishing instructor and guide service with Frank Selby. Listen to Frank as host of FishHuntTalkRadio.com or listen live Saturdays at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on Sirius XM Radio Channel 211. Custom flies are handmade to your order in-house in Newport Beach. Fishing in Mexico, Belize, Florida, or the Rockies, Frank and the staff will deliver exactly what you need. Flies and gear. Google His and Her Fly Fishing. A few years ago, a sailor set out to design a boat shoe that was comfortable and stable, non-skid, and wouldn't mark the decks. Today, these incredibly comfortable shoes are worn by anglers, boaters, professional guides, and charter captains. Go to softscience.com to see more. Soft Science shoes and boots are lightweight and shock absorbent with just the right level of support. Several styles come in all sizes. Enjoy the Soft Science shoe in the water and out. Check them out at softscience.com. Alaskan RV Butler. Guiding, fishing, hiking, sightseeing, adventure. The Alaskan RV Butler. Like a cruise on wheels in the comfort of an RV. View the wonders of Alaskan interior, streams, ocean, and wildlife. Or fish for the big one, all while pampered by Mike, the Alaskan RV Butler. Mike's inclusive tours serve butter-drenched shellfish and mouth-watering steaks. Mike is your personal chef, chauffeur, guide, and planner. And for the real Alaska, contact MikeRVButler at gmail.com. That's MikeRVButler at gmail.com.
It's time for you to take a real fun adventure. Join a hosted fishing adventure to Alaska or Baja with the staff of Fish Talk Radio. Real Fun Adventures can book you on any adventure you desire. Bring your fishing friends or meet new ones. Fish Talk Radio gets the best deals from our sponsors to give you the best possible price. Real Fun trips are inclusive, easy, no-worry packages to the most popular fish grounds. Trips start around $600. Go to REELFunadventures.com.
Launch ride.
Welcome back to Fish Talk Hunt Radio with John Hennigan.
This is John Hennigan, and of course we have our host Frank Selby. And we've just been talking to Matt Swainbank, National Sales Manager. By the way, I guess that's a congratulations, National Sales Manager.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
And probably a good reason for it. I bet you don't spend much time at home, do you?
You know, I try to find the work-life balance as much as possible.
Well, yeah, but you've got a new member of your family, don't you?
Yep, that's true. Yeah, I have been home the past few weeks. That we welcomed a baby girl in our family here 2 weeks ago.
Oh, man. Little girls and fathers. Now, that's
pretty special.
Yeah, very special.
Yep.
And, of course, she probably is. Well, at 3 months, she's still a baby, but but real quick she starts turning into a woman, and well, you're in trouble then.
She's already been out fishing with her father a couple times.
Oh, that's great. See, the problem is just it's just you and your wife and the baby, right?
Yep, exactly.
You know what that mean? You know what that means?
What's that?
It means you don't stand a chance. It's 2 against 1.
We got a female dog too.
Oh, there you go. And but that's fantastic. I congratulate you again.
Thank you.
Where were we? Couple of
circle
things.
Hook.
Oh, okay. Let's go to circle hooks. Now, I remember, gosh, it must have been 15 years ago, maybe longer. A charter captain that I used to use a lot, and I said, "What can I bring you?" He says, "Bring me circle hooks," because they couldn't get them down there. And I go, "What's that?" And he goes, "Well, the point goes up and it kind of curves back towards the shank." And I go, "Oh, okay. I've seen those, but no. Some of them go up and they kind of curve back, but these things are perpendicular to the shank, or even more so." And I'll let you describe why that does it. It's like a miracle, and you can use them for a lot of things. I know big game down there. That's the number one thing.
Sure.
And tell us why that is.
Well, I mean, the circle hooks have a lot of benefits. I mean, I think the biggest thing is the low mortality rate with a circle hook. So it's basically a hook that the fish won't fully swallow. It's not 100% guaranteed, but it's virtually guaranteed to always go in the corner of that fish's mouth. That's huge benefit, obviously, to the angler and to our catch and release fisheries. I think the other big benefit of circle hooks from a usability standpoint is the fact that you do not set the hook on those. So basically, you let the fish basically take that hook, and basically it'll set the hook on itself.
Well, typically a fish, especially if it's finally grabs a bait, the first thing they do is run about 20 to 30, 40 feet, because they want to get that bait away from their friends and neighbors that want it also. So they'll just kind of run away. In the meantime, they'll start swallowing the bait. And, a lot of times I've seen some pretty funny pictures of people feeling a tug, so they just wail on it. And, of course, they lose it. But what happens is, in the natural process, they swallow the hook, but with just a little bit of tension, the hook comes up, and with that barb, it gets caught in their jaw. And then, if you want to set the hook, you can give it, a pretty good yank to make sure you got it on. But don't ever, ever use a circle hook and then try and set the hook when you get a bite.
Yes, that is a correct statement. You will usually just pull the hook right out of that fish's mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but once they're hooked, they stay hooked.
Yeah, it is. It is a pretty good system. And if you're using your rods in a rod holder, like a lot of people do out on boats, you don't always have to react as quickly as some other situations when you go to reel that fish in. You just let that drag.
By the way, what you do is you don't give it a tight drag.
Yep.
Just let them run. Let them take it, and when you feel a good, hard, steady pull, you can increase the drag. And just then, if you want to set the hook, or just start winding hard.
Sure. Yep.
Do you ever get a chance to try that out?
Oh yeah. We've used it several times, and I'm not the most avid saltwater angler. I'm more of a trout and steelhead guy myself.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, what about using circle hooks on trout and steelhead? Normally, you don't.
No, usually you don't. No, I do have some people that'll use a very small circle hook for trout, but typically with trout, you're holding on to the rod, or you're retrieving, or just the bait that you're using doesn't really apply for that fishing technique.
Well, typically trout, if you get a nibble, they don't grab hold of it with their hands.
Correct.
And start pulling on it. If you get a nibble, then you do set the hook.
Yeah, depending on the species, yes, trout definitely are not the most aggressive. So,
So if you feel a bite, set the hook, or it might decide, no, that's not what I thought it was.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, circle hooks, can't say enough. And you're sending me some to take down to Mexico with me in a couple of weeks, and I'll put them to good use for you, as they work for pretty much everything.
Yeah, you need the circle hook, John.
Mm-hmm.
He's slow on getting to the rod. He wants somebody else to find it in for him.
Well, Frank, as I mentioned to you, my idea of fishing in Mexico is the boat has a queen-size bed and a berth up front. And, I like the cocktail waitress to come back and say, with a little bell, and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Hannigan, but your fish is on." So it takes me a minute or two to get up there and pick up the rod, and then of course if it's
some luxury fishing,
if it's too big, I go, "Nah, I'll hand it off the rod. So that's too much work." That's the way it's supposed to be. But no, I love fishing down there. And I definitely need some circle hooks. So what was J hooks? Let's just talk about them.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you're the man.
Oh, you're leaving it to me. Yeah,
hey, I'm the host. I ask the questions. I don't have to answer them.
Yeah. I mean, J hooks is really, it's the standard shape that people, kind of envision typically when you see a fishing hook. And I think the big thing with J hooks is really just matching the hook size to the bait, right?
I'd like to talk about that. First of all, I want to go back to circle hooks. One of the problem with circle hooks, you get a pretty big hook, but that, circle, the tip on the end, it goes right back to the shank and doesn't leave you much of a gap. And sometimes it's not easy, to fit the bait through that. So if you've got, down there they have these things called caballitos and mackerel that they use for live bait. Is there any tricks on baiting those?
Typically it's so hard, right? I typically rely on my local fishery experts, the tackle shops, the captains to make that call. Sometimes you will go thread a live bait through the mouth. Sometimes it goes to the back. Sometimes it goes to the tail. Depending on that position of where you put the hook, that could really affect how that bait swims, right? Mm-hmm. So typically it's kind of leaning on those experts in the fishery to be able to tell you, hey, we want to rig this on the back. We're trying to keep that bait, a little bit higher in the water column.
Yeah.
Versus maybe.
Well, normally I'd try and put it through the nose.
Yep, yeah, and going through the nose will typically, drag that bait down a little bit, which sometimes, depending on where the fish are, that might be something you want to do.
Oh, by putting it at the back, then the fish will swim around more? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and especially if you have some tension on the line, you can really control the way that fish swims, and you can keep it a little bit closer to the surface.
Well, I'm just making another quick comment. This is different than fly fishing, Frank, is that when you put a bait on, I had this great question. I've got to find it again. Is we talked about just letting it swim, but I usually go through the nose. But what you're saying that if you go it to the back, you get more action out of the bait fish. Is that what you said, Matt?
Correct. Yeah, correct. Yep.
Never thought of that. And then, some people use two hooks. I don't. If you're going to use two hooks, by the way, you let one just dangle free, because if fish doesn't come up and, take its little teeth and bite into it, what it does is it sucks in this huge amount of water, and everything that's in front of it goes into its mouth and its gills, and then it kind of finds out what it wants, and the rest of it goes away. So you don't, by a dangling hook, you'd be surprised how many fish will catch the one without bait on it.
Yeah, it really helps you to make the connection on the short strikes for sure.
Mm-hmm. Because it's the way the fish eat. They don't come up and, grab it with their hands or knife and fork and take a bite.
Not the bite that we're used to.
Yeah. Frank, you've got some questions. I know we're getting close on time. Real quick.
No, go right ahead. You're doing fine.
Well, we got less than a minute.
Most of the stuff we're talking about, I've known for years.
Yeah.
Some of it I haven't. So.
All right. Well, I think we've covered circle hooks, and you need some in your tackle box, but we didn't really cover circle hooks as far as fresh water, though. Do you want to mention that, Matt?
Yeah, typically, I mean, like I said before, it's more popular in salt water, but typically, you can go into our catalog or our website and you can find lots of models, maybe something, a 1X fine wire, maybe those sizes,
Hey, I'm sorry, Matt, but I didn't realize before we let you go, we got to take a quick break. So if you don't mind holding that thought, and we'll come back and have about 5 minutes with you. You are listening to Fish Talk Radio. Go to fishtalkradio.com. Just go to fishtalkradio.com and listen to the show.
The Soft Science footbed absorbs the shock of pounding waves, engine vibration, and even rocky terrain. Soft Science shoes are roomy and relaxed, and they drain and dry quickly. Check out the Soft Science Fin fishing shoes and boots and the Fin H2O for kayaking and canoeing. They're lightweight, slip-resistant, and won't mark your deck. See the new styles for men and women and get your pair on at softscience.com. Used by fishermen who know where to get the best fishing gear around, AFTCO makes the highest quality fishing rod components worldwide. If it says AFTCO, you know you have a quality rod. Guy Harvey Clothing, the best outdoor clothing line anywhere, is also available through AFTCO. Longest lasting, functional, and best looking clothing you'll be proud to wear. Only the very best materials and workmanship. As soon as you put it on, you'll know the difference. Look for AFTCO at quality retailers or go to aftco.com. Fish on!
It's a big one.
For passionate sports fishermen who value first-class fishing experiences paired with personalized service and amenities, all-inclusive Salmon Falls Fishing Resort on the Inland Passage reinvents the Ketchikan fishing getaway. Guests enjoy exceptional gourmet cuisine, superior fishing excursions, fully guided charter or self-guided in center console boats accommodating 3 anglers, updated guest rooms and suites, on-site fishing processing to clean, freeze, and pack your catch. Rooms range from log cabin rustic to modern. Our 52 rooms offer the ultimate in comfort after a long day of sightseeing, fishing, and exploring Ketchikan. Non-anglers love Salmon Falls, too. Shopping along Creek Street, kayaking, hiking, whale watching, or gathering around our fire pits with a hot beverage, all at prices less than expected. Just pull up Salmon Falls Resort in your search engine.
Catch them shallow, I can catch them deep. Muddy water or the back of the creek. Wind and rain to me, it's all the same. I make a living playing this game, and I thank the Lord above every time I can. I get to be a fishing man. Yeah, I'm a fishing man.
Welcome back to Fish Talk Hunt Radio with John Hennigan.
This is John Hennigan, our host, Frank Selby, and we have Matt Swainback, the National Sales Manager. Congratulations. Mustad Hooks, it's been around for, 100 years, 150 years?
Over. Yeah. Well over 100 years.
Certainly the biggest worldwide and the highest because they have complete control over the whole process. A couple of questions.
Sure.
One of the things we didn't talk about was the gauge of the wire.
Yep.
You can have the same size hook but different gauge of wire.
Sure.
So mention that and when and why.
Yeah, typically, we make a lot of popular hook shapes and styles in multiple different gauge thicknesses. So you can go from a, standard wire, 2X, 3X. I believe we even have some hooks that are 7X in strength. And typically you're just doing that depending on, the fish that you're going after. I mean, as you increase that wire strength, obviously your that wire thickness, you're increasing the strength. So if you're going after, some really hard fighting fish, some bony mouth fish, sometimes you want to increase that thickness of the wire gauge just to prevent any hook bending. I mean, it's walking that fine line between having a hook that the fish can't see and also being able to reel the fish in.
Well, normally the finer gauge would be for freshwater, wouldn't it?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes that's the case. I mean, but we have obviously salmon can fall into either of those categories where you want to be as inconspicuous as possible when you're targeting them.
Mm-hmm. And Frankie, you had a question for us, I think, for Matt.
Yeah, no, you almost answered it, but a thin wire hook we use a lot on fly fishing because a lot of our top bait flies we use, so we use the thin wire. But you hope you don't get a giant fish on it. I've never straightened out one yet, but I'm always worried one day I will.
Well, Frank, you were also wondering about treble hooks. Now, to me, it seems like they're less popular than they used to be, and a lot of times people will just clip one of those off to make it a double instead of a triple. But do you have any comments on that and when you use it? I think the only time I ever see them is on the back of lures, and a lot of times people will take those off and put a single hook on.
Yeah, that definitely happens. I've seen that quite a bit in like our trout and salmon fisheries now, switching out a treble hook to a single hook. Sometimes it really makes your lure, your spin actually perform a lot better in the water, actually give it better action. But, our bass fishing market, treble hooks are still extremely popular. We have a patented design called triple grip, and basically it's the way that the hook points angle in, and really it just prevents those bass from being able to shake those off. So we've created that design with one of the most world-renowned anglers in the world, Kevin Van Dam. That's something that we invented with him back in the day that helped him win countless different tournaments. So the treble hook market's still very good for us, and we see a lot of people that switch out their stock hooks on lures to our triple grip hooks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a purpose. It's not like you get 3 times the catch, because not all 3 usually are where the points go into the thing you're going to get.
Yep. Usually it doesn't work like that.
Well, what's the purpose of it?
For a treble hook?
Yeah.
I mean, usually you don't get all 3 hook points in the mouth, but at least you have more opportunity to at least get 1, if not 2, into that fish's mouth. And a lot of times you'll see treble hooks actually help to counterbalance some lures. So depending on how the lures swim and perform in the water, sometimes having that right size and weight treble hook really helps to actually increase the performance. As we're talking about that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting the figure again.
Real quick, John.
Yes.
I like treble hooks when I'm taking kids out fishing for bonita, so the one hook goes through the nose, the other 2 are up, so when they hit the head, they're hooked.
Oh, so you only put one in the bait, and the other will just kind of grab because when they do it. Okay. Well, Frank's giving me the finger, Mark, so we're going to have to end this segment. Matt, you've been a plethora of information, and we'd love to get you back on as much as we can, because you can't cover 6,000 hooks in one show. You are listening to Fish Talk Radio. Go to fishtalkradio.com. Listen to the show as many times as you want, right on the front page. fishtalkradio.com. Listen to it. Fish Talk Radio.